Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I thought today I would do an update on the burn cars. If you saw the previous video, it was the Ferrari 330 and Maserati Mistral that were in a garage fire. And I think on the last episode, we had them out of the trailer and we're getting them cleaned up. I think I was going on about how stinky they were. So anyway, I'll show you where we're at now. We're moving pretty quickly. We do typically strip these cars by hand. You can chemical strip, and you can dip them in an acid tank. So we do dip in an acid tank if the car is going down to absolute bare tub, and it's made out of steel, because you can't dip an aluminum alloy car in an acid tank. So we do end up stripping a lot of these cars by hand, and it's tedious and kind of monotonous work. But the whole goal is to be careful with it, and to get through the material down to the metal and not into the metal. We want to preserve that. We want to preserve that metal. And once you get down here, you start finding things in the metal and what's there. I mean, you can't go any deeper than that. That's what you're starting with. We're looking for anomalies. We're looking for bad metal, rust, separation, cracks, crash damage, anything like that. If you don't go down to the bare metal, you don't know. You are banking on somebody else's work from the past. If you put paint, new paint on top of old, you're introducing new solvents to an already cured base. Honestly, goes well often. I've seen it done many times. But I've seen it go wrong too. And what you don't want to do is to go a lot of effort and to have it blow up on you. So to do it right, you go down to metal. When you do that, you run the chance of running into issues that weren't right. You get down to metal, there's nothing else to hide. I mean, what's there is there. And if you find rumples and you find rust and you find bad patches, or you find whatever, bad work in the past, you got to fix it. And that's the risk. And I tell people that, if we do it, we're going down to metal. It's what we do. And you stand the risk of finding things. So I'll show you a little bit here. Just on this nose, we've peeled this back. You can see there's just piles of, this makes a hell of a mess doing this. But you can see some unevenness here. But honestly, not bad. Not bad. Now you can see here. So here's I don't know if you can see this. Do you see this rumple here? And I can feel it in my hand. So right here, dead smooth. It flows. You move into this area and it gets rumply. You can actually see it, the highlights here, right down into here. So that's what we're looking for. Well, that's one of the things we're looking for. What we know from that, and exposing that, is that it was hit on this corner. At least that side. We're getting into the nose here, and we'll see if it was actually clocked in the corner or if it was a side impact above the tire. But it's been hit. From the size of the damage, it actually doesn't look that bad. But it's there. So we will use that information to look elsewhere in the corner and the substructures, and the alignment of the headlight buckets, and that kind of stuff. You got, it's clues. You're looking for clues here that could burn you later. Things that the car will tell you things when you take it down to this level. It'll expose its history to you. That's kind of cool, and sometimes it can be a little depressing because you got to spend some more money on it to put it right. So we have, just kind of coincidentally, right next to this one is another 330. And this is a full restoration. So this one was stripped, but we did it with the acid tank. So this one came down to bare metal. we're doing metal work on this one now, but it's the same car. It's a Series 2 330. Just finishing up the metal work and fitting of all the exterior bits. And here's this car. So it's just kind of handy, you know, if you end up in that situation where you got two of the same car side by side. It's a nice reference. Most of the interior is out of this car. Not all of it, but most of it. This is not a restoration. These are fire recovery cars, so we will build them back. The other major motivation of going down to the metal in this particular case with these burn cars is they got hot, and so we can't trust any of the material that's on the metal at this point. It's got to come off. It's been highly compromised. So anyway, game plan from day one was to get these down to metal. All right, let's go look at the Maserati. And here it is. So, kind of hard to tell here where it's, but if you get to see here, that's paint, that's aluminum. This is an all alloy car. This is a Maserati Mistral. And we are in the process of getting the paint off of this car. So this is dirty business. This is dirty, messy. You can see on the floor here just the pile of dust from removing the material that's on the car. And cars, it varies a lot of how much material is on a car. It depends on who painted it, how they painted it, how they prepped it, how they did the body work. And in some cases, you can end up with just a whole lot of material. And I say material, I mean fillers. Covers a lot of sins. But you can see here, so on this wing, if you can see that, it looks really good. There's no rumples, there's no damage, it looks good. Now watch this. When we go into this door, now you see this? Up above here, it's nice flowing metal, and then it starts to go bad, and it starts to get all these pocks and pings and hammer marks. Something happened there, and something you see a weld right there, a nasty weld. Okay, and let's go up to the roof, and the roof looks really good, as you'd expect. It's not an area that it's damaged a lot. So clearly, something happened to this door. It either was rotted or was hit or something. Probably hit. I don't see signs in this car that it has suffered from corrosion. It's actually really quite healthy. I just don't see signs of issues with it so far. Be curious to see as we go along, but you kind of see here the material is actually not that thick. You can see metal, you can see a filler, you can see a primer, and then another primer, and then paint. There's not multiple layers of colors on here, which you can see, which would tell you that the car has been painted over on top of each other several times. This actually looks pretty good. So you never know what you'll find. I mean, we could find a corner on this car that has been hit or smacked, and then you have to move forward that way. You have to take those clues and go deeper and work your way back out. You don't start with the sheet metal. You start the farthest point in that could have been affected and work your way back out. And the skin or the sheet metal, that shape is the last thing you do. If you correct that, if you make changes in that sheet metal, you correct that, and then go in and start moving structure or correcting structure, you're just gonna have to do the sheet metal over again. You'll lose all of that advantage. So yeah. So that's where we're at. We're in the process of getting these down to metal. Now, one of the things that takes place that is of interest is so these are insurance cars. So these are Haggerty insurance cars. The only company we'll do this kind of work for. And so the goal or mission here is to bring these cars back to where they were before. Now, when you get down into it and you find things underneath that need to be corrected, it doesn't necessarily fall into the purview of the insurance, because that's how it was. In this case, the fire didn't put some corrosion into a rocker. So that requires conversations both with the insurance company and the owner. For us, and I think anybody that does this at this level and with this intent, you have to fix it. There's no such thing as puttying it over or filling it in. You have to fix it with metal and make it correct. So it has to happen. It has to happen. There's just not a way to just go back. It has to be fixed, whatever we find. So it can get a little bit entertaining. We have not fully removed the interiors from these cars. We have removed a lot of the interiors of these cars. Not everything. You still have to keep in mind that there's a mission here to correct these cars and correct what was damaged in the fire, and not do a full restoration. It's kind of hard for us sometimes to leave that alone, to leave some things be, and sometimes it just ask a further conversation with the owner, is because with anything when you're doing a build or you're doing something like this, you get somewhere, you get a certain depth into a car, into it, and you're like, well, we're here, do you want to do this while we're here? Which is kind of standard thing, and it's in a way it's a curse, in a way it's just smart, but it's and the customer has to make that decision. Yeah, we're in here. Do we fix other stuff while we're here, or do we just start backing our way out? The old classic situation, where you take your Ferrari in and it needs a engine out belt service, and while we're in here, do you want us to do the clutch? And while we're in here, should we do the drive belts and the hoses? And while we're in here, and it's just wanting to make the car all that it should be. But it is part of the calculation when you're doing something like this. You do have to have really good communication, both in this case with the insurance company and with the owner, and what the intent and what the desires are for that stuff that inevitably comes along with you.